Pospisil is a Sudan affairs analyst and associate professor of peace and social relations at Coventry University. He joins us now live from Juba in South Sudan. Thank you very much for your time. We're hearing the possibility of talks being renewed then. How likely is it that these potential talks will succeed where others have failed?
Well, the big problem in all of these efforts is if the Sudanese armed forces, the National Army, is indeed then joining the talks. As I understand, the US have now invited both to Geneva, to Switzerland, to change the venue, but it still remains a joint effort between the US and Saudi Arabia to get both SAF and RSF leadership to bilateral talks, more or less. As I understand, though, SAF has not yet confirmed that they will be there. And this will be indeed the big challenge. All the attempts to negotiate have failed so far to get SAF on board. They still insist on the first agreement that has been reached in Jeddah to be implemented. But this would mean RSF would have to give up a lot of strategic positions that they defend militarily now for months. So this is basically a non-starter, and it is unclear how this obstacle can be resolved.
Antony Blinken, it's said he personally is quite keen to try and find a solution to this. It's sort of important to him. How much do you think the Biden administration is keen to try and find a solution by November and the elections there?
I mean, this is indeed the big picture here. Like, can there be something resolved before the elections? Because also the US Special Envoy, Tom Perriello, has basically this deadline. We don't know how the elections will end. And this is then the problem for them. So if they want to reach something, it has to be by the US election calendar, which is, of course, very difficult task, given that like months have gone without any successful negotiations.
Can you just give us an idea of the humanitarian toll that this is having in the country?
I mean, we have seen the numbers before. The fact, like 10 million of displaced, a lot of refugees in neighboring countries. And basically, the country is on the verge of famine. And famine is, of course, a process. It's not that it starts basically tomorrow. So that means that already now, hundreds of thousands of people are basically starving, and they are starving mainly in territories that are not under government control. And the big issue here is that the Sudanese army is still controlling lots of the border positions and is also the recognized government in a way by the United Nations. So all the UN agencies depend basically on clearance by the Sudanese government also to go to areas which are not controlled by the government. And of course, this is what they don't like. So there's huge delays in clearance of humanitarian convoys.
Jan Pospisil, thank you very much for your time and your insight.